This inspiring story reveals a powerful truth. Your greatness isn't defined by what you lack, but by what you believe you can give. Follow a beggar's incredible journey at a bustling bus stop, where a simple question ignites a profound realization. By finding something to offer in return, he transforms his destiny from desperation to thriving success. Discover how embracing the value of exchange can unlock your hidden potential and reshape your entire future. In the heart of a bustling city, at a grimy bus stop filled with the hurried rhythms of urban life, sat Leo. His clothes were worn and dusty, his face etched with the weariness of countless days spent enduring the elements and the indifference of strangers. Every morning, as the first buses rumbled past and the commuters began to gather, Leo would position himself, his chipped tin cup extended, a silent plea for alms. He survived on the small coins and occasional kind words offered by the city's inhabitants, his existence a perpetual cycle of taking just enough to get by. One brisk autumn morning, as Leo shivered against the cold wind whipping through the station, a man unlike the usual throng of passengers approached the bus stop. He was impeccably dressed in a sharp dark suit, a polished leather briefcase clutched in one hand, and an air of quiet confidence about him. This was Mr. Sterling, a man whose presence seemed to command attention without uttering a single word. As Mr. Sterling settled onto a nearby bench opening his newspaper, Leo, emboldened by the man's prosperous appearance, shuffled over. He stretched out his hand, his eyes downcast, ready with his usual mumbled request.
Sir, any spare change for a humble man?
Leo asked, his voice a low, raspy whisper. Mr. Sterling, instead of reaching for his wallet, lowered his newspaper slightly and looked directly at Leo. His gaze was not dismissive, nor was it filled with pity, but rather with a peculiar intensity.
Do you always just take from others?
Mr. Sterling inquired, his voice calm and even, yet with an underlying firmness. Have you ever given anything to anyone? Leo was taken aback. His hand, still outstretched, trembled slightly. He had never been asked such a question before. Most people either ignored him, handed him a coin without a glance, or offered a quick, sympathetic word. This direct query, devoid of judgment yet piercing, left him momentarily speechless.
Sir,
Leo finally stammered, his eyes widening in confusion. I'm just a beggar. I survive by asking for alms. I have nothing to give to anyone. Mr. Sterling offered a faint, almost imperceptible smile. It was not a smile of amusement, but one of understanding, as if he had anticipated Leo's exact response.
if you believe you have nothing to give,
Mr. Sterling stated, his voice now a little softer, more contemplative, then you also have no right to ask for anything. I am a businessman. I believe in exchange. If you can offer me something, I can give you something in return. But if you have nothing to give, I cannot give you anything either. With that, Mr. Sterling returned his attention to his newspaper, the brief interaction seemingly concluded. A few moments later, his bus arrived. He rose, adjusted his briefcase, and boarded the bus, disappearing into the city's flow.
Leo stood there, utterly stunned. He kept replaying the businessman's words in his mind. If you have nothing to give, I cannot give you anything either. The truth in those words, though harsh, resonated deeply. He had been begging for so long, and no one had ever spoken to him like that. He wasn't rude, but he had spoken a truth that stung because it exposed his own passive approach to life. Maybe that's why people never gave him much money, he thought to himself, because he offered them nothing in return.
That night, instead of sleeping soundly in his usual sheltered alcove near the bus stop, Leo lay awake, deep in thought. What could he give? He was a beggar, homeless and penniless. He had nothing of monetary value. He tossed and turned, the businessman's words echoing relentlessly in his head.
if you want to receive, you must first give. If you want to receive, you must first give.
2 days passed. Leo, still pondering the peculiar conversation, didn't ask anyone for money. He was too busy thinking. He watched the commuters, the buses, the pigeons pecking at crumbs. On the third day, as he sat observing the world around him, his gaze drifted to a small patch of neglected ground bordering the bus stop. Amidst the weeds and discarded litter, a cluster of vibrant wildflowers had somehow managed to bloom.
What if, he mused aloud, a flicker of excitement in his eyes, instead of just taking, I offer something in return? What if I give people a flower every time they give me alms?
Determined, Leo walked over to the patch of wildflowers. Gently, he plucked a handful of the brightest blooms, careful not to damage the delicate stems. He returned to his usual spot, holding the small bouquet in his hand. When someone handed him a coin, he smiled, a genuine, hopeful smile he hadn't worn in years, and offered them a flower in return. "Thank you, sir. A flower for your kindness," he said, his voice clearer than usual, slightly nervous yet enthusiastic. Surprisingly, many people accepted the flowers with joy. Some commuters, initially confused, would break into a smile upon receiving the unexpected gift. A few even lingered, chatting briefly, their expressions softening. Some even smiled and thanked him.
"Oh, how lovely!" exclaimed a young woman, her eyes brightening as she took a yellow blossom. "Thank you so much."
As the days passed, something incredible began to happen. More people started giving Leo money. He wasn't just a beggar anymore. He was the flower man at the bus stop. He noticed a pattern. As long as he had flowers to give, people gave generously. When he ran out of flowers, the donations decreased. He spent a portion of his daily earnings buying more seeds to plant, or occasionally purchasing small bunches of flowers from a nearby market to supplement his wild harvest.
So it's true, he thought, a wide, joyful grin spreading across his face. People like to receive something in return.
One day, as he was diligently handing out flowers in exchange for alms, a familiar figure stepped off a bus. It was Mr. Sterling. He looked at Leo, then at the bouquet of flowers, and a slow smile spread across his face. Excited, Leo rushed over.
"Sir," Leo exclaimed, his voice brimming with enthusiasm, his face beaming. "Today I have something to give you. If you give me money, I will give you flowers in return." He held out a vibrant orange flower.
Mr. Sterling chuckled softly, his eyes twinkling. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a crisp $20 bill, and handed it to Leo, taking a few flowers in return.
"You have truly understood the value of exchange," Mr. Sterling said, his gaze warm with approval. "Today, you are no longer just a beggar. You have become a businessman."
The bus arrived at the next stop and Mr. Sterling stepped off, leaving Leo standing there, watching him go. Mr. Sterling's words, "You have become a businessman," sparked a new thought in his mind.
Am I really a businessman now? Leo pondered, clutching the $20 bill and the remaining flowers, but with a growing sense of conviction. For a long time, he pondered over it. Then suddenly, he realized something. His face lit up with a profound understanding. "I now know the secret of success," Leo declared, throwing his arms wide open in a joyous, triumphant gesture, right there in the middle of the bustling bus stop. "I am not just a beggar, I am a trader. People aren't giving me money out of pity. They are paying for the flowers I give them. This means I have a business."
Excited, he made a bold decision. That day, he gathered his few possessions, walked out of the bus stop, and never returned as a beggar again. 6 months later, at the very same bus stop, two well-dressed men met. One was Mr. Sterling, looking as composed and successful as ever. The other, equally well-attired, carried a stylish briefcase and a small, exquisite boutonniere pinned to his lapel. They exchanged a handshake, but Mr. Sterling had a curious look on his face as he studied the other man.
"Do I know you?" Mr. Sterling asked, a slight frown creasing his brow as he tried to place the familiar features. The other man smiled, a broad, confident smile that reached his eyes. "Yes, Mr. Sterling, you do," he replied, his voice rich and clear. "We've met twice before, right here on this very bus route." Mr. Sterling's eyes widened in surprise. "Wait, you're the beggar, the one I refused to give money to, and then later I bought flowers from you," he exclaimed, astonishment clear in his tone, a sudden realization.
The former beggar, now looking utterly transformed, laughed heartily. "Yes, That was me, he confirmed, his laughter echoing with genuine happiness. But today, I am no longer a beggar. I run a successful flower business, growing and selling beautiful blooms, and I'm traveling to expand it further across the city.
Mr. Sterling was astonished. That's incredible. What changed? He asked, truly impressed. Genuinely impressed, eager to know.
The flower seller smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. You taught me one of life's greatest truths, sir, he said, meeting Mr. Sterling's gaze. We only receive when we give. That day, I realized that I was never really a beggar. I was a businessman all along. I just had to see myself that way.
The two men shook hands again. Now, as equals, their understanding deepened. Then they boarded their respective buses, heading towards their respective futures, one to continue his journey of success, the other to further build upon the remarkable transformation sparked by a simple idea at a bustling bus stop.
Life is shaped by how we see ourselves. If you believe you are small, you will remain small. But if you recognize your inner potential, you can achieve greatness. So don't limit yourself. See yourself as strong, capable, and successful. Because when your thoughts change, your future changes too.